The Lumix XLR2 is a very high quality audio interface that you can slide directly onto the hot shoe of compatible Lumix cameras, lock into place, and now you're able to record XLR sound straight into your camera with great quality microphones. So in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about the XLR2 depending on the camera that you have, so you can know how to best take advantage of all the knobs and all the features on it. The first thing to know about the XLR2 is it's compatible with a ton of different Lumix cameras, but the only two cameras that support the 32-bit audio recording function on it right now are the S1R2 and also the Lumix GH7. So this will work on some of the older cameras, including the S5 II, the S5 IIX, also works with the G9 too, a few others, and we'll have a list in the description below that's going to be up to date. But if you want to take advantage of the 32-bit float recording, you are going to need the S1R2 or also the GH7. So here we got the S1R2, so we'll be able to look at all the different features that you get with the XLR2 interface. Now, when you first get this out, you're going to see that it does look a little bit bulky. It has this microphone holder on the side of it, and you can choose whether or not you want to use the microphone holder. There's two Phillips screws on the side of it, so you can always remove this if you're not using this, but this is a great way that you can get run and gun audio with a high quality XLR microphone. You just put the microphone on the top like this and then lock it into place, and this has a little bit of shock absorption as well. I would probably recommend using it with a shorter shotgun microphone like the Audio-Technica AT875R, but this is a great way that you can get really clean sounding audio and just always have a microphone mounted directly to the side of it. This also really comes in handy even if you're using it with a boom mic like I am right now, because you could still use on-camera microphones at the same time. Also on top of the interface, there's a cold shoe slot, so you can put some sort of other microphone or microphone receiver on there if you're using it with something like a Rode Wireless Go or something like that. That's going to be a great option. So on this side of the XLR2, you get the inputs. So there's two XLR inputs on it, and there's also a 1/8 inch input. So this is a great way that you can record multiple sources of audio at the same time. So you can record up to 4 channels at once with the XLR2, and with the XLR1, the 3rd and 4th channel came from the camera body. Now it's all just right here on the adapter, which is really cool. And there's a switch that's going to change what all the different channels are. It has this guard on it that helps keep the door from being messed with. So what's cool about this is you can still adjust the gain from below if you need to, but this is going to keep you from accidentally hitting some sort of switch while you're recording. So whenever you're ready to start using this, just open it up, and that's going to show you all the different switches. And the select switch is going to change what channels are actually being recorded through the XLR interface, depending on how your camera is set to on the menu. If 4 channel is set to XLR, then channel 1 will go to 1, channel 2 will go to 2, input 3 left will go to channel 3, and input 3 right will go to channel 4. If you set it to XLR plus camera, then this is going to change what input on the XLR interface goes into channels 1 and 2 of the camera. If 4 channel is off, then the select switch is going to change what input 1 and input 2 are, which will make it either input 1 plus 2, or input 3. On the input 1 settings, we have first line, mic, and plus 48 volts. So this is going to be changed depending on the microphone type you're using. With that shotgun microphone, it does take phantom power, which is 48 volts, so we'd put that into the plus 48 volt category. If you're using it with a dynamic microphone like a Shure SM7B, or really just any standard microphone, you just put it in the microphone position. If you're using it with professional audio gear like a mixer, you're probably going to want it in the line setting so it's able to handle those higher level signals. The next switch is the gain switch, which is great because you can pad your signal down if you're clipping, or you can set it to 0 for most day-to-day use, or if you're using a microphone that eats gain for breakfast like the Shure SM7B, you can boost it up to plus 20. The next switch is the low cut, and low cut cuts all frequencies below the point on this. So if you do it to 80, then anything at 80 hertz or below is going to be tapered off. This is really great for getting rid of wind noise or also some handling noise. I would recommend leaving it on 80 hertz because this is going to do a great job at getting rid of random rumbles in your room. You can put it up to 240 if you need to be a little bit more aggressive in what you're cutting out, but for most use, 80 is going to be just fine. The next two switches are the limiter switch and also the volume knob on this. And these are only going to be active if you're not using this in the 32-bit float recording mode. So if you're using it in the 24-bit, then these two will work. Limiter will just keep it from peaking. So if it's detecting too much input, it'll actually pad it down for you. And then the volume knob is where you need to set your gain. And you set that using the meters on the camera or using headphones to make sure that you're not clipping. If you're using this in 32-bit float recording, the only function this will do is if you turn it all the way down, it will mute the audio, but anything above mute is not going to do anything when you're in 32-bit float recording mode. The only way to adjust the gain on that is later on in post. So then if we move to channel 2, everything is exactly the same except for that switch there. The limit switch says either on, off, or link. And what link does is link is going to link up the setting of the volume knob on input 1 to the volume knob on input 2, so you only have to set it for one setting. But again, if you're recording in 32-bit, this doesn't matter. The next setting is input 3, and input 3 is a little bit different. You can either do line, mic, or mic plug-in power, which is not the same thing as phantom power, but some of the microphones I've checked out recently do require plug-in power to function. So for those microphones, you'll definitely need to make sure it's set to plug-in power. And then you've still got the limiter and the volume knob there as well. So whenever you want to use this on your camera, you just slide it directly on the camera hot shoe, lock it into place, and then you're ready to go. Then when you turn the camera on and you're in video mode, you should see an icon in the bottom left-hand corner that shows you the XLR interface is active. And that's really important to pay attention to make sure that you've actually got it set up right. Now, on any camera that you're using this with, you can change all the settings of this by going to the microphone settings. And the first thing you'll want to do is pay attention to your sound recording quality. I'm recording in 96 kilohertz 32-bit. For most people, I would recommend doing 48 kilohertz 32-bit because that's going to be a little bit more compatible with different audio applications. But you could also do 48 kilohertz 24-bit, and that's going to unlock some more features that we'll show in a second. If you want to record 4 channels of audio, then you have to either be using 48 kilohertz 32-bit or 48 kilohertz 24-bit. The next thing that's important is the 4-channel audio recording, and this is going to change what chooses the 3rd and 4th channel on this. So if we put it in XLR, then that's going to make sure all the stuff plugged into the XLR adapter, including the input 3 and 4, are going to the 4-channel recording. If you do XLR plus camera, then it's going to use whatever you have for channel 1 and 2 on here as your channel 1 and 2, and then it's going to use the camera's mic on the side or the internal mic of the camera as channel 3 and 4. Or you can do off if you just want it to record 2 channels. And then you can change what channels you're monitoring to your headphone jack as well. So there's everything you need to know about the Lumix XLR2 interface and how to set it up to work with any Lumix camera. Today we went through all the settings using the S1R2, so there's a few more of the advanced features like the 32-bit float recording available, but this also works great on the older cameras as well. Really love using this to record high quality audio. If you got any other questions about the XLR2, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear them. Like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.